Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to find the derivative of inverse functions at a point. This topic is covered in the AP Calculus AB or Calculus 1. There is a practice problem at the end of this presentation, so don't forget to check it out. Try it out to see if you've mastered the standard that we're covering here. If this is what you're looking for, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at an example. So what we're going to be doing is as follows. The instructions are for example number 1. So we have the question: if the function f of x is equal to 2x to the third plus 2x plus 4, and g of x is the inverse of f, the question is find g prime of 8. Okay? Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at how to solve this problem. Now there's a formula that can be used to find the derivative of inverses. I'm not going to use a formulaic approach for this. I'm going to use a system that's very safe and easy to follow and will always guarantee you the correct answer if you follow it correctly. Okay? Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to make a table to help us organize our information. Now, this is really important because when you are finding the derivative of inverses, you're going to have switches happening, you're going to have reciprocations happening. So if you are not organized in the way you write down the information, it's going to be very easy for you to get yourself confused. Okay? All right. So on the right side here will be the inverse of f. The inverse of f is g, as stated in the problem, is g of x. And then over here is f of x. Now, when you're in the inverse, think about this as the inverse world. When in the inverse world or in the inverse column, the input is y and the output is x. And then when you're f of x, the input is x and the output is y. Okay? So remember, for the inverse, the input is the output of the function, and then the output is the input of the function. So you have a switch happening here. Okay? Now let's take a look at the problem. We are asked to find g prime of 8. Now what is this? G is the inverse, right? So what do you input into the inverse function? You input y. Alrighty? So this piece of information that we have right here, this is y. Okay, that's what's inputted into the inverse function. So in this pairing, we're going to start right here on the right column. We know that y is 8. Okay? But what we want to do is we want to figure out what x is, and we want to plug it into the derivative of f, since the independent variable of f is x. Okay, so what is the x value? So we have the function right here. Let's put it to the side. F of x is equal to 2x to the third plus 2x plus 4. We know f of x is equal to y, right? So it follows that y is equal to 2x to the third plus 2x plus 4. Now, when y is 8, what is x? So let's plug it in. So 8 equals 2x to the third plus 2x plus 4. Alright, so we have a cubic equation here. How do we solve this? Well, we can just solve this by inspection. We can just play around with some numbers and see which could give us a desired result. Okay, so let's start with, these are our x candidates. Okay, we can test 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, and then just see which one works. So if we try 0 first, you're going to have 8 equals 4. That's false, so 0 doesn't work. How about we try positive 1? If you put in 1 here, 2 times 1 to the third is 2, plus 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, exactly what we want. So what we need for this problem is x equals 1. Okay, when x is 1, then this equation right here is true. Okay, so let's put a 1 right there. So we just use a guess and check method. In most cases, when you see problems like this involving inverses, it's very easy to use the method of exhaustion to determine what the correct x value is. Okay? Now that we have y and x, we're now going to go from the inverse world to the function world. Okay? So when you go from here to here, you're going to switch your x and your y's. So you switch the x and the y's by finding the inverse of the inverse, and that will give you 1, comma 8. Okay? Now what we're going to do next is we're going to find the derivative evaluated at this new x coordinate that we have here. So we're going to find f prime of 1. F prime of 1, the derivative at a point, is a two-part process. First of all, we have to find the derivative anywhere. And then, secondly, we are going to have to evaluate the derivative at the specified point, which is 1 in this case. Okay? Alright, let's do the first part. First part is we want to find the derivative anywhere. Find f prime of x. So f of x is what? 2x to the third plus 2x plus 4. If you differentiate that, f prime of x is going to be 6x squared plus 2. Okay? We're done with the first part. Now the second part, the evaluation step. We're going to evaluate the derivative at 1. Okay? So f prime of 1 is going to be 6 times 1 squared plus 2. And what is that going to be? It's just 6 plus 2, which is equal to 8. Okay? So that's f prime, the derivative of the function at x equals 1. So now we're now going to go to the inverse world. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to think about the derivative of the inverse as dx dy. Okay? Or the reciprocal of the derivative. So we're now going to go right back here. This is dy dx. If we want to find the derivative of the inverse, which is dx dy, we're going to flip. Okay, we're going to flip this number right here. This becomes 1 over 8. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final answer. This is what g prime of 8 is. G prime of 8 is 1 over 8. So let's write down our answer. G prime of 8 is equal to 1 over 8. Alright, so what did we just do? This is the answer that we have. What we just did is we just basically utilized the formula for finding the derivative of inverses. Okay, we just broke it down. That's exactly what we did. So let's take a look at the formula, and then you can see the connection as to what we did. Okay, so the formula for finding the derivative of an inverse, so f inverse prime of let's say at a particular point, f inverse prime of a is equal to 1 over the derivative of the function evaluated at the inverse, f inverse of a. Okay, so first of all, we switched, which is f inverse of a, and then we found the derivative at the switch, which is 1 and 2, and then we reciprocated, or we flipped, which gave us 1 over 8. Okay, so now to do this, there's an acronym that can help you remember the steps for finding the derivative of inverse functions, which is Flip Desc. Okay, what does that mean? Flip Desc basically means you flip the derivative, evaluated at switched coordinates. Okay, at switched coordinates. And that's exactly what we did. Okay, we did the switch step right here. So first of all, of course, you have to find the coordinates first. So when you're doing Flip Desc, think about it this way. Let me write it down. If you want to do Flip Desc, you work your way from the bottom to the top. Okay, so you do the switch coordinates first. Okay, and then you find the derivative evaluated at that, and then lastly you just flip. Okay, so let's go back to the problem. So the first thing was to find the coordinates, which we did some calculations on the right side here. So we got the coordinates, and what did we do with it? We switched. All right, so that was a switch step, and then, so that's part one, and then we proceeded to find the derivative evaluated at the switch coordinates, which is part two. Okay, and then lastly, we flipped our answer, and then that gives us the final result. Okay, so anytime you're finding the derivative of inverses at a point, you flip the derivative evaluated at the switch coordinates, and that will give you your correct answer. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Really appreciate it. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of differentiation techniques, do give us a thumbs up. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. If you have any questions or comments about this or any AP Calculus problem in general, just post it in the comments section below and we'll be more than glad to respond. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We upload videos to our YouTube page on a regular basis, so if you want to get updates to that, just subscribe and hit the notification bell. More tutorials and support resources can be found at our website at mathgotserved.com. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day.